Welcome to Kitchi-Gami.com. Today we're going to do a brief video talking about feather angle in kayak paddles. Now, when I started kayaking in the early 90s, we used kayak paddles that had a pretty steep offset. They were feathered at 80 or 85 degrees. And the instruction that I got was, you hold on to the paddle with your right hand, that's your control hand. You line up the knuckles of the right hand with the top edge of the blade. And when you want to take a stroke on the left-hand side, you twist your wrist back, and that changes the blade angle on the left, so you can put it in the water. This sort of a feather angle can lead to repetitive use injuries over time because you're constantly twisting that wrist every time you take a stroke when you're on the water. And so feather angles over time have gotten less severe. And I discovered that as I used first a 60 and later a 45, some of that wrist discomfort went away, and at 45 I didn't have to twist my wrist at all anymore. So here's what that looks like. With a short paddle, like a whitewater paddle or a short touring paddle, and the elbow held high, at 45 degrees of offset, as soon as you lift your elbow, the blade automatically aligns for a stroke on the left side of the boat. So you would think maybe if 45 is better than 60, maybe 0 is better than 45, but that's not the case. If I go down to 0, all of a sudden I have to start twisting my wrist again. Not back, but up and to the right. So if you look at my wrist here, if I keep it neutral, the angle of the blade is not perpendicular to the boat. In order to get that perpendicular, I have to twist the wrist up and to the right, like this. That's true with a short paddle, but it's not true with a long paddle, like a Greenland paddle or a 230 or 240 centimeter conventional touring paddle. If I'm doing a low angle forward stroke, if I'm keeping my elbows down low, an unfeathered paddle allows me to take a stroke on both sides of the boat with a neutral wrist. As soon as I add any feather, there's a 45, into that low angle stroke, I have to start manipulating my wrist again. So that's the answer on feather angle. There's two ways to go. If you're using a short paddle like a whitewater paddle or a short touring paddle, you're going to want to keep your feather angle between 30 and 45 degrees. That'll allow you to keep your right wrist neutral during the forward stroke. If you're using a long paddle like a Greenland paddle or a longer conventional touring paddle, and you're holding your elbows low for a low angle forward stroke, you'll want to use an unfeathered paddle rather than a paddle with any feather at all. I hope this helps. Hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching Kitchi-Gami.com.